Dr. Ali Griffith is a #1 bestselling author, global transformational speaker, and startup business coach. She's shared stages and led support teams with people such as Tony Robbins, Steve Harvey, and Lisa Nichols, to name a few. She's an audiologist and speech pathologist by profession. She is trained to hear people in order to feel them. She's also a proud autism mom. I am so excited to welcome to the show Dr. Ali Griffith. Stay tuned. Hi, Dr. Ali. How are you?
Hi, nice to be here. How are you?
Nice to see you. I'm good. It's a little warmer today than it's been all week. I don't know what the weather has been like where you are, but it's been like -10 to -18 around here.
Where are you exactly?
I'm in Ontario, Canada.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's gonna be cold out there. We're in New York.
Are you? Okay. How are the winters in New York?
Not so bad, but we
Yeah?
had a few really cold days, so yeah.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know, I can't talk. For those who don't know you, Dr. Ali, could you give us a little background on how you got from A to Z?
Oh, that's a big question. A to Z. Oh my God. Is it like from birth to no to
Oh, not
now?
from birth. No, like how did you end up becoming a doctor?
Oh, no worries. So hi everyone, I'm Dr. Ali. You'll find me at Dr. Ali Griffith. I am by trade an audiologist and a speech language pathologist. I got into the field because I was at a program where I saw a special needs child and they were actually doing speech therapy with them. And I was like, I like what the speech therapist was doing with
Okay.
the child with special challenges. And
Mhm.
then when I began to learn more about it, I learned more about audiology because speech pathology and audiology is really linked together.
Yeah.
I began to get fascinated with sound and what people were
Mhm.
saying and listening and all the great things that goes into communication. So I decided to pursue audiology, which is a field that not many African American females are in,
Okay.
and it's a field not many people are in, but then there are
Yeah.
even less of us. And then I added a speech language pathology with that. So to understand the hearing and the speaking aspect of it. So the total
Yeah.
communication space.
That's really neat. So, do you have your own private practice, or do you do like teaching online? Do you have courses, or how does that all work?
So I'm actually now more of a business coach.
Okay.
It's hilarious. Yes, I still do practice for
Mhm.
audiology, but
Okay.
more in the world, I'm showing up in my purpose, which is helping other mompreneurs like myself. I'm also an
Yeah.
autism mom. So helping other autism moms to learn how to start their businesses because using a lot of the same strategies from audiology and speech pathology,
Mhm.
learning how to communicate and connect and create
Mhm.
a space for how you want to show up in the world. I'm helping them with that aspect, how to communicate it, how to connect
Yeah.
with their audience, and then how to make sales. So all that is part of the communication.
That's really neat. So, could you elaborate a little bit more? Because for those who watching, they may not comprehend quite what you're trying to say.
Mhm.
Um, from your perspective,
Mhm.
how does that work helping entrepreneurs communicate better, bringing in the audiology and the speech pathology?
Right? So people would never
Yeah,
think the two will come into that. How does that go into
yeah,
entrepreneurship?
yeah,
I didn't even see it initially. Like I literally
yeah.
started a business. I was doing amazingly well with that, where I was just coaching other women in terms of,
Mhm.
mindset things and being a life coach.
Yeah.
And then my business grew through
Mhm.
working with amazing mentors like Steve Harvey and Lisa Nichols, Tony
Okay.
Robbins. Through
Yeah.
those programs, my business grew faster.
Okay.
So I began to get trained in how to grow an online business
Mhm.
using my strategies or using my strengths as an
Mhm.
audiologist and speech language pathologist is what I think made me even better or more unique in that space where I
Okay.
began to understand more about content, right?
Mhm.
And brand marketing and
Mhm.
how do you really get yourself out there as a personal brand. And a
Mhm.
lot of that is really communication, connecting with your
Mhm.
audience, understanding what's their yes, what's their no's, and
Yeah.
and being able to use that to connect with them. So using those spaces, people often mention that one of the things about me is that I know how to listen to what people are not saying. So
Okay.
reading body language, reading cues, and just learning
Mm.
how to use that as an aspect in terms of entrepreneurship.
Okay. And can you use that to, for example, can you use that to become a better listener too? If you understand like the whole audiology thing, can you teach better? I can't talk right now. Can you teach people how to become better listeners, not only from like a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint as well, understanding how the ears connect to the brain and everything?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We work a lot with the listening aspect,
Mm.
paying attention, paying attention
Mm.
to what's not being said,
Yeah.
using that aspect in terms of what
Mm.
you think may be saying, using your own psychological
Yeah.
prediction of what you think may be said compared to what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Looking at nonverbal cues, looking at things that they may want to say but are not saying. So helping them
Okay.
to convey a lot of thoughts with that aspect and then really solidifying behind it.
Mhm. And do you find, so do you work with just people who speak English or do you work with different dialects? And how do you find that if you do work with different dialects, how does that
Mhm.
play a role in the communication and stuff?
So I always say
Mm.
I was raised in Guyana, which is in South
Mm.
America. So
Mm.
I came back to America because I was born here, but I went there to
Okay.
live as a child. So I came
Mhm.
back with a heavy accent, right?
Okay.
So I speak or I may work with people with different types of dialects in terms of
Mm.
East Coast versus West Coast. There are
Yeah.
different dialects of words what they may say.
Mhm.
A lot of people do not do public speaking because they don't like showing up because
Mm.
they're scared they're going to say the wrong words. They're
Yeah.
scared that their dialect might show up because for
Mhm.
some reason there's a quote unquote perfection of
Oh, I
what
fear that every time I do an audition because I'm Canadian and we have to sound American.
exactly. So dialect shows up.
Yeah.
What I help people to do is to become comfortable with themselves,
Okay.
right? And to really truly embrace themselves. And unless they're doing like an acting role where they have to be
Yeah.
something else. One of the things one of my coaches told me at a very early stage, and I'm so grateful to Lisa Nichols for this, is she
Mm.
said, just be yourself. We
Mm.
like your slight accents. We like that
Yeah.
distinguishes you from everyone else. So
Yeah.
before, when I used to try and cover it up, or I may work with
Mm.
clients that are trying to cover up their space, we're working on them embracing that and then
Yeah.
really using that to set them aside from everyone else because no one else will
Yeah.
sound like you.
I love that because when people always pick up on my accent, I'm like, yeah, my Canadian showing, whatever.
Right. And it's a
Yeah,
great
it
conversational piece.
is.
It's so now
Mm.
what people will now remember, because it helps
Yeah,
people to also remember, is
yeah,
now Jen is from Canada with her
yeah,
coffee chat. So
right.
coffee chat from Canada with Jen.
Yeah. And in my defense, sorry has an O. So
I
we're,
love it.
yeah, that's a running joke through coffee chat because when I have actors on there, I was like, Jen, it's sorry. I'm like, right, sorry.
It's hilarious because
Yeah,
as a speech pathologist, we used to take
yeah,
a phonetics class where you
mm,
have to listen and dictate based on how it sounds, not how it
mhm.
is, right?
Yeah,
So you begin to hear the pronunciation and the different spaces where
yeah,
people will put more emphasis on, and it
mhm,
really is dialectical. It's based on geography.
yeah,
It's based on
oh,
where we were raised and from
mhm,
different types of impacts based on um,
mhm.
culture expressions. Like there's so
Yeah,
many different things that come into play. Here's the thing
mhm,
about it, and this is what I tell a lot of my clients: is there's no perfect. Stop
yeah,
looking for perfect. There's
mm,
American English, but then there's also Canadian
mm,
English
yeah,
and UK and British English. So there's like
yeah,
so many different things.
yeah.
There's no one that's right.
Yeah, and there's so many different accents, right? So you can't like just say like, "Oh, speak Americans." Like, do you know how many different accents there are in
That
America?
part.
And there's you know how many different accents there are in Canada? Like,
So I
somebody
would
in like
usually tell
Newfoundland is
them.
Yeah.
I would usually tell them, okay, so which American accent do you want me to sound like? Tell me
Yeah.
specifically which actress or which
Yeah.
movie. So then you have something
Mm.
to really relate it to, because you're right. There's so many
Mm.
different dialects within America. It's not even funny.
All
It's a
right.
lot.
Like if hearing me speak and then hearing somebody from Newfoundland speak right now, you'd be like, what night and day, right? So that,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
Like I'm from New York, so people,
Mm.
I said New York, right? So people
Yeah.
already hear the New York
Mm.
accent. I used to try to cover it up so much. No more.
Don't
It's
cover it
so
up. It's a
much
good
work.
accent.
See,
I
and
love the
that's
New York
it.
accent.
And that's what everyone ended up saying. They're like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, it's a New York with a little island twang that's
Yeah.
with it. I had a coach, one of my media coaches, TJ Mercer. She
Mm.
was like, Dr.
Yeah.
Ali, just say the alphabet for me.
Yeah.
So mixed in with my my voice tone, which is
Hmm.
like a sultry type of voice,
Yeah.
which I hated as a kid. I don't know about you. Did you like your voice sound as a kid? Like I hated mine. So
Uh,
I'm
I hate it when I get like really like excited because my voice tone goes up.
higher.
But yeah, I always like it when I'm sick because I get like that husky voice. I'm like, God, if I could just have this all the time.
Yep. So my
But
son
don't.
is autistic,
Yeah.
right? So high
Okay.
pitched voices, he really
Mm.
it bothers him.
Yeah.
So when we're at certain spaces and people with
Mm.
really high pitched voices, he was like, it
Mm.
actually hurts mom. Like it's really
Yeah.
high because everything with them is super heightened.
Yeah.
With some, um, for me, having
Mm.
a lower pitch voice, which
Yeah.
I thought initially sounded like a man, so I didn't want to talk. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sounding like a man, especially in the morning. So eventually, but it worked for him because it's
Yeah.
soothing. So it helped to
Yeah.
soothe it. And when I was working with children with disabilities and or with
Mm.
parents or families, they liked
Yeah.
the soothing voice. So
Yeah, and it's funny because the high pitched voice can also be an indication probably that somebody's nervous,
hmm
um, or they're not comfortable, right? Because my voice always goes up an octave too sometimes when I'm acting and I'm not 100% sure in the scene. And my acting coach will pick up on the like your voice tone just went up. You need to come back down into your real voice, right? So that's
hmm
something too where if you're not trained to hear it and it's a subconscious habit and you don't have somebody to point it out, then you always get stuck somewhere else in your voice. And that can actually, I've learned it can actually hurt your vocal cords because you're not speaking in your regular tone.
absolutely, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
One of my clients actually saw my bio, and it was
Yeah.
so interesting when I did the interview, and someone said, you know,
Yeah.
Dr. Ali, you are trained to hear how
Mm.
people feel.
Yeah.
And that's that space where yes, I pay
Mm.
attention to intonations. I can
Yeah.
tell when someone's nervous. I can
Mhm.
use my voice to help to bring
Mm.
them back towards calm, or for some
Yeah.
reason people speak at a deeper pace when they're, or
Mm.
a deeper tone when they're talking to me because they're trying to
Mm.
match mine,
Yeah.
on without subconsciously, right, without
Mm.
trying to. It just happens.
Yeah, because people like from a brain perspective, people try to match the situation they're in, right? They
Yes,
tr- they try to mimic the person and they try and match the energy of the person they're speaking to. So that's why it's
absolutely.
funny when you're speaking to somebody with a different accent. Sometimes you start picking up their accent because your brain starts to try and mimic what's in front of you for acceptance.
Yes,
So uh,
absolutely.
yeah, that's really interesting. Um, you work with entrepreneurs. Do you work also with parents who have autistic children, or is that
Yes.
okay?
Yes. So I started first with just
Mm.
moms with other kids, other moms with kids with autism, because I'm
Okay.
that, right? So I
Yeah.
wrote a book called Amazing Gift: The Journey to Autism Acceptance. It's a bestseller.
Mm. Okay.
That began my explosion, I should say, in terms
Mm.
of entrepreneurship and visibility. Because of that book,
Yeah.
I traveled the world. I spoke.
Mm.
I began to help moms with accepting the process of autism, and then, of course, my
Mhm.
communication background, how to
Mhm.
communicate and connect with your child and
Okay.
community, right? Through
Mhm.
that space, I had other moms who were like, well, how are you doing this? How are you traveling the
Yeah.
world? How are you speaking? How are you creating, academies and programs, digital programs, and writing
Yeah.
a book? And they were like, we want to do
Mm.
that too. We almost felt like
Yeah.
we had to give that life up because we're autism
Mm.
moms, because being a parent of a child with so
Mhm.
many needs requires a lot
Mm.
out of you. And I began to show them simple systems of how I did it.
Yeah.
then during those classes, I would see other people sneaking in and they would go, well,
Yeah.
I'm not an autism mom, but I
Yeah.
love the way you break it down so simple. And you're always giving
Yeah.
us tools and strategies and how to do it
Mm.
easier. And eventually I said, okay, fine. I help moms. I help moms to professional moms or moms
Mm.
out there to start their businesses, to grow their businesses so that they can still balance and manage the other aspects of life that's happening around them, which is usually a lot,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
still enjoy how they show up in the world.
Okay, that's really neat. And have you ever, so you have a background in audiology and speech pathology, but have you ever gotten into things like neuro linguistics programming, like that type of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, so that you can sort of like,
Absolutely.
okay,
Yep. One of
I'm
my
actually going,
coaching programs that I was
yeah,
getting certified in
mm,
is the NLP. I worked with an NLP coach for
okay,
about a
mm,
year. So all of that
okay.
comes into play.
That's really neat because I really got into NLP. So I don't know if you know Jim Fortin. So I did his
Mm-hmm.
transformational coaching program last year, and it
Mm-hmm.
really turned me on to brain science. So when I was growing up, all through school, I wanted to be a doctor, and then life events happened, and then that didn't happen. But then I got turned back on to sciences again when I took that program, and I got really interested in brain science. So then I signed up for edX to do their fundamentals of neuroscience. And then now I'm doing the NLP practitioner and master practitioner course because I find it so interesting once you understand how the brain works, how you can participate in life, right? And I feel like they should teach that in school to high school students, even just like basic NLP, because it would help so many people. So that's why I was
Absolutely.
interested to see if you had taken any background like that too, because having the two that you already have plus that, that's like a it's like a triple threat there, Dr. Ali.
I know, except I said no more school. So I did the program. There are different levels towards it.
Yeah.
I did not, in full transparency, I did not
Mm.
complete it to
Okay.
certification level.
Okay.
But I learned a lot. And you're
Yeah.
right, it does apply a lot to what I
Mm.
do.
Yeah.
It was just at a point where I was taking on way too much than I needed to, and I had
Oh
to pump
yeah.
my brakes and say, okay, you
Yeah.
do a lot already. You don't need another thing behind your name, another letter.
Yeah.
Just use what you have and just go out there and be great. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where I stayed in. But it's absolutely an amazing thing. I love my
Mm.
friends that are NLP certified and they're always
Mm.
breaking all these things down to me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, if we even knew half of that earlier in life, we would be so much better.
Yeah, and it's funny because the fact that you do so much, I'm wondering if you do the same thing I do. So ever since I was a kid, my mom always said that, you know, the saying where if somebody tells you you can't do something, you go ahead and say, "Watch me." So my mom says
Yep.
I've been like that since I was a kid. And Kari from our mastermind said, "I want you to sit down and break down exactly what you
Kari.
do to do this." And I figured out that I've been doing since I was a kid without knowing it, the 5 second rule. I act before my brain talks me out of it. I instantly act because your brain
Wow.
within 7 seconds is going to make a decision for you, right? Your brain knows what you're doing before you do. So if you
Mm-hmm.
act before 5 seconds is up and you instantly take action, then you interrupt the pattern of your brain taking over, right? And that's what I've been
Yes.
doing since I was a kid. So I'm wondering if you do the same thing.
Absolutely. I
Okay.
and I know Kari.
Mm.
Kari's also my biz coach also in
Is
the
she? That's
mastermind.
awesome.
Yes, she's a freaking amazing. Yes, I have always been an activator. I've always made quick
Mm.
decisions.
Yeah.
I've always acted on something that came to me immediately.
Mm.
In my aging now, now more I stop and I'm more in
Yeah.
tune with myself and
Yeah.
seeing what feels right. So
Yeah.
I'm reducing less of the quick action and now more of
Mm.
the feeling aspect. But it's a beautiful
Yeah.
space when they're together because
Mm.
when having to make a quick decision, I love going right immediately, yes or
Yeah.
no. So, yes.
That's awesome. So I'm sure everyone's wondering at home, okay, is there like something that I can take away from this that I can start doing at home?
Mhm.
Like a quick tip to become a better listener or a better speaker, or even just a better entrepreneur and get off their butt and do something.
I like it. Get off your butt and do something. First of all, definitely follow me. Follow me on my different
Mm,
platforms. I'm at Dr. Ali Griffith, all
mm,
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube,
mm.
Pinterest, TikTok now. What I would tell you is to listen more. Definitely
Mm,
in whatever aspect in life you do, the key is
mm,
listening, and the art of listening is paying attention to
mm,
intonations and inflections and what's
mm,
not being said.
mm,
Read beyond or interpret or go beyond the
mm,
verbal. A lot of language is learned that non-verbally. So
mm,
when we pay attention to those things, for
mm,
example, it's like a DJ that comes on and plays
mm.
music and no one's dancing, but
Yeah.
still continues to play that type of music. And I'm like,
Mm.
are they even paying attention? For a
Right.
speaker that gets up and speak in front of a crowd, you want to
Mm.
see if you're getting those head nods like you're doing. You want
Yeah.
to see if you have the lean in. You want to
Mm.
see if they're yawning on their phone. Like, is this a space
Yeah.
where you're going to have to change the topic, or you're going
Mm.
to have to do something to grasp more attention? So
Yeah.
paying attention to all of these things will make you a better person, period. You'll be
Mm.
more connected with your family.
Mhm.
um, like I said, as an autism mom, I had to learn how
Mm.
to really dive into what's not being said, because for a
Yeah.
time he had difficulty with communication and speaking. So
Mhm.
reading nonverbal helped us to have a deeper connection.
Yeah.
So try that out there, just to be a better human, a better entrepreneur, and definitely
Mhm.
if you are a professional, you can
Mm.
see that that will give you an awakening.
Yeah. So if they are having trouble listening, okay, so maybe they've gotten into a bad habit of listening to respond and not listening to understand. Is there like a
Mhm.
pattern interrupt that they could do somehow to become more mindful and more present in situations so that they can listen?
Can I say this like really bluntly? Close your mouth. Like, I'm not gonna like, close your mouth.
Yeah.
Be more conscious of
Yeah.
talking over people,
Yeah.
right? Wait until the person stops.
Mm. Yeah. I always say that people should take an acting course if they need to become a better listener, because one of the main factors of my job is listening so I can respond to the person I'm in the scene with. So, um,
Exactly.
and
In
that just means being
audiology,
present. Yeah.
yeah, in audiology we have a device called an FM
Mm,
unit. So
mhm.
when sometimes in classrooms or in
Yeah.
spaces you may have two transmitters, and the
Yeah.
key we always try to say is that both transmitters can't go on at the same time. You need
Mm,
one, and then
mm.
the other will fill in, so that
Yeah.
if both are going at the same time, you might have noise cancellation or nothing is being said.
Mhm.
So the key of that is two people can't speak at the same time, because then
Yeah.
who is listening?
Yeah. And that, from a brain science perspective, your brain can't do two things at once. So you can either listen or you can talk. Right?
That's it. So it's a habit. It's more habitual, right? It's something
Yeah.
that we have just,
Mm.
we as a community, and more
Yeah.
it can be based on your cultural upbringing also. So the key is
Mm.
close your mouth. Like I
Yeah.
tell people, if you want to be a good listener initially,
Mm.
like there are different steps and stuff that we can get into, but if
Mm.
I was to tell everyone something that's easy that they can do
Mm.
immediately, try
Yeah. Speak less. Speak less, listen
listen
more.
more.
And that actually makes you a better speaker, too, besides a better listener, because you're actually hearing and comprehending what the other person is saying.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is. Yeah, I like that. I do have a lot of entertainment people that follow me, so they're always trying to improve their listening skills too, right? So I'm sure they'll find this episode really interesting. So you have programs and a book, correct?
Yes.
Uh,
So
so how
mhm.
can people work with you if they want to work with you after this?
So I wanted to add on top of that,
Yeah, go
because
ahead.
it just happened. Also, is as your mouth is closed, because sometimes you think
Mm,
people don't
mm,
stop.
mhm.
Sometimes you can give like a facial or give a finger, like if you're getting ready
Yeah.
to say something, to give them an idea. Because sometimes you're with people
Mm,
that talk and talk and talk and talk, and you want to get your point across. So either you're going to
yeah.
close your mouth and listen, but you could
Yeah.
also like raise a finger to let them know that, okay, I have something I
Mm,
would like to say, to give them
yeah.
that visual cue to start wrapping up. So I wanted to just pop that in also.
Yeah.
Um,
So that you're not talking over them, but you still like, oh, like I'd like to like have my input here. So yeah, that's a good, yeah. We should try that. I know some people that like to talk a lot.
We all do. So yes, so you can follow me. Right now my programs that I have available are my Launch Your Own Brand Academy, Launch Your Legacy Brand Academy,
Yeah.
where we're helping moms to learn how to launch their digital courses, and it's a really intimate space where they get support and it's simplified. So we break
Yeah.
everything out in that launch world into really getting your personal brand out there. The second thing that I definitely have is my Biz Beach retreats, where once to 3 times a year that we go to different beaches like Aruba, and we do
Yeah.
business there. And this is for those who have difficulty with really focusing at home and need to go to a calm space. And we work on branding, marketing,
Yeah.
and sales during that time.
Okay. So you mainly work with entrepreneurs, right? But you do touch on stuff with moms with kids with autism. I was just gonna add in whether or not you work with kids. It's like I'm thinking from your perspective of like a lot of parents have kids that have like lost teeth and stuff and might be having trouble speaking. You don't work with that type of um, child, correct?
So at this
Mm.
moment, I am not working with
Mm.
kids. I'm working more with the families.
Okay.
And so I do have a nonprofit organization called Smart
Mm.
Fit Fam.
Okay.
That's where we do a lot of wellness programs for the families to support them
Okay.
through the process of the diagnosis and through
Okay.
daily living.
Mm.
We also have an Amazing Mom
Mm.
wellness retreat. So we
Yeah.
have a spaces where we can work with the moms in that. And we also do quarterly digital
Mm.
or virtual programs that can give them
Okay.
either exercises or nutrition or
Yeah.
answering or support in speech or the speech, occupational therapy,
Hmm.
or mental wellness. We have
Yeah.
a team that supports the families through that process.
Okay.
So
That's
we're
incredible.
more in trying to help the families.
Yeah. No, I really like that. I just wanted to clarify that for people so that they know, right? Because sometimes if you don't know exactly everyone you help, then you may be leaving someone out. So I just wanted to clarify that. So I will make sure to link all that up below this video. I like to ask when I remember to my guests, what is your best advice to your younger self?
Ooh, what is your best advice to your younger self? But first, before I get into that, I
Mm.
forgot to mention
Okay.
if you need to know how to start and grow your business, I do have
Mm.
a free template, free PDF guide, I should say, on how to start and grow your business in simple steps. So it's
Mm.
startandgrowyourbiz.com, and
Mm.
you'll be able to see that in the notes below.
That's awesome.
Advice to my younger self.
I know it's a hard question, right?
Self, actually, no, I got it.
Really?
Self, take your time,
Mm.
be easy, and go
Okay.
with the flow.
Okay.
Go
Take your
with the
time,
flow.
be easy, and go with the flow. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like participating in the moment, being present and mindful and not worrying so much. Yeah.
Yes.
I like that. Yeah. I feel like my daughter could benefit from that. She's like an A+ student. She's always stressing out about her grades.
That was me. That was me. I stressed out about everything. So self,
Yeah.
chill. Like
Yeah.
chill. It'll be okay.
It's going to be fine. Just relax. All right. Is there anything else that you would like people to know before I let you go?
No. There are different ways
Hmm.
to connect
Hmm.
with me if something resonated with you
Hmm.
throughout this experience.
Hmm.
If you find that you need help with just growing your
Hmm.
business and or
Hmm.
getting your brand out to the world, I am
Hmm.
available.
Hmm.
You can definitely find me at dralligriffith.com, info at Dr. Ali Griffith. All that information will be in the show notes below.
Hmm.
But definitely, if you want something free, or you're not quite ready to step on to working with me, then definitely
Hmm.
go to startandgrowyourbiz.com, and
Hmm.
you will get the free guide, and you'll
Hmm.
get support throughout the time we're together, because we send out a lot of connected emails and spaces we can do fun things together.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been so informative and it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. And
You are
I
welcome.
I really hope everyone watching goes and checks out the links below because she's such a wealth of knowledge and she could so help you improve your speaking, communication, and your listening, especially because there's a lot of entrepreneurs and actors and people on here that I know could benefit from that. And yeah, I hope everyone has an amazing day. Thank you so much again, Dr. Ali.
You're welcome. Thank you for
Thanks.
having me, Jen.
Thanks. Okay, bye, everybody.